Well, I would go a little further than that to say he's no longer governor now because he made an enemy of every legislator, unfortunately. And there is a lot to be said for this, and it's an unfortunate part of our business. Yesterday, I heard our Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky say at an event that Barack Obama, as we know, our president, does want to reach across the aisle, wants to make friends, wants bipartisan support for his agenda. And one of the ways he's doing that is he's inviting people over to the White House every Wednesday night for a cocktail party, which is a very nice touch.
Sure.
Because a lot of building doing public policy is about building relationships.
Clearly.
Okay, now I look at the last two governors. George Ryan came in the same time I did. We knew he was corrupt. I mean, for God's sakes, he brought down 40-some people with him and is serving time right now in a federal prison. But we liked him. He invited us over to the governor's mansion. He lived there. We had events there. We got along. The leaders had handshake deals with him, and they trusted each other.
Right.
Now here comes Rod Blagojevich, exactly the opposite. We went and impeached him. So the difference is a lot about relationships. And
Yeah.
it's not just the Mike Madigan play there. I mean, I think there was a lot of that. He did, the last 2 years, what's been very unfortunate is that we've had basically a dysfunctional state government because the leaders didn't get along. They refused to work together. They refused to even go into the same room together. That was a big problem, and that hopefully we're beyond that. But it's deeper than that. The fact that Rod Blagojevich got not a single vote. Now think about this. When, the Republicans tried to impeach Clinton, there was an impeachment trial. We watched that played out. But Clinton had a lot of supporters, and he was acquitted.
Right.
In this case, Rod Blagojevich had no support at the end of the process. 59-0 to convict him.
Another feature which, for us out here in the watching audience, sort of makes him sympathetic in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way that Geraldo would find you sympathetic, I guess.
Well, I think that what is important to separate here, and I know we don't want to dwell on this too much because the audience, your audience, and everybody else is probably over this now. But I do want to say one more thing about this, which is that we have to separate the policy from the man. So the policies might have been good. I think he was on the right side of trying to do some good things. But the way he did it, what we built a case around, and I was part of this too, is the abuse of power. A governor is not a dictator, cannot go it alone. You need to build a base of support. You need to have laws that are voted on. That's our balance of power. That's our Constitution.
Well, and you guys handled it, quickly.
We did.
Once it started.
Yeah.
We have the example of the outgoing president and his particular expansion of executive powers.
Right.
And his also committing some sins against the people in terms of lying as a reason to bring us into war, and some really, really tragically impactful moves that he made, including, dumping the economy pretty much.
Yep.
And he's heading into retirement, and I would like to see somebody follow that up, even though I know we don't want to dwell on stuff. But if we're not to repeat history, it'd be interesting to see what happens to that executive. So now we have, it's very interesting to me, because now we have Governor Pat Quinn.
Yes.
Yay! I love Pat Quinn. I've always loved Pat Quinn. I know a lot of people don't, and one of the things that has been said this week on the press and in other spots is, I don't know, the Powells can't stand Pat. Now, if the Powells can't stand Pat, and they also couldn't stand Buzzkill, which is all I refer to the Rodster. He's Governor Buzzkill to me. What hope does Pat have? Come on.
Well, this is an excellent question. So I've known Pat Quinn a long time also, and the one thing we for sure can say about him, he is honest to a fault.
Honest as the day is long, as we would say.
He will bring back ethics and integrity to government, and that's really almost the first step. And before we even talk about him, let me just do a little pitch here that I have a new website up on this weekend, coming up this weekend. And in the, one of the first things I'm going to do with my new website is I'd like people to come on my website, and I'm taking a survey. And the survey really has two questions. The first question is, what issues should Pat Quinn tackle first? And I list a bunch of issues that are facing Illinois right now, and I really would like people to weigh in on how they see the state right now.
Good.
The second issue is even trickier in some ways. If we need new revenues, what new revenues should we be looking at? And again, a range of issues that are listed there. My website is www.juliehamos.org, JULIEHAMOS.org. And again, it's going up this weekend. It may not be fully live till Monday, but I really welcome people to come on the website and take the survey, because Pat Quinn has a gigantic agenda. Our state is in deep trouble. We have many issues facing us. We know that the national economy, of course, impacts Illinois too, but beyond that, we have left so many big issues fester, and that's part of the problem. Is we haven't had leadership in Springfield.
Right.
We've had this dysfunctional government for so long. So that question of what should we do first is a very big challenge for him. And I would say that what Pat Quinn's going to have to really do also, and I hope he's learned from watching the Rod era, he's going to have to build coalitions. He has to reach across the aisle. He has to sit down with leaders. I think he's taken a first good step already. He sat down with all the constitutional officers yesterday, his first day in.
Very good.
But there's a lot about him. He doesn't necessarily build coalitions either for his ideas. And he's going to have to learn how to do that. He has big ideas. He has big vision. Those are hard to pass in Springfield. And what he's going to have to do is to be very skillful in making sure that he's building those alliances.
It's been such a tumultuous 3 months. Once we've elected our new president, all of the folks who were sort of lining up to look at the vacant Senate seat were doing their lining up, all busy doing that lining up, and then the impeached governor pulled his stunt, which was a masterstroke. Let's face it. I mean, what a better character to enter the fray than Mr. Burris,
Right.
who, as whatever else you could say about him, he's also pretty clean.
Yes.
And honest guy. He's worked for the public for many, many decades. And also he had the chutzpah to say, hey, it's me, and to do that whole thing. And there he is. So all of the jockeying for position around the Senate seat, now we can include Rahm Emanuel's seat, here in Chicago involves a dozen at least politicians, and I think you're one of them. So I know that your circle of supporters, which I include myself in one, this is full disclosure, audience, we were looking forward to seeing you run for governor, for attorney general, depending on what Lisa Madigan was doing and depending on what Jan Schakowsky was doing, all this sort of thing. You want to make any kind of announcement here today?